What if a projectile-based zoner in Street Fighter didn't require charge? What if that character also had a good close-range game and a mid-range game? What if they also have massive damage potential while having amazing utility? It certainly doesn't sound very balanced, does it? Nope, but that character existed in the initial version of Street Fighter 4. Hello everyone, this is Steet Dojo, and today I'm going to present to you the third subject of busted characters of fighting games, Sagat, the king of Muay Thai. Let's look at the basic features of this character. The very apparent one is his height. According to the Street Fighter 6 website, he's 226 centimeters tall, or around 7 feet and 5 inches. He's a couple heads taller than most of the cast. If you want a real-world comparison, he's around the same height as Yao Ming, a retired NBA player who is 229 centimeters tall. Absolutely massive. And the sad thing about this is that unlike the new Street Fighters, his hurtbox actually matches his size, so he's susceptible to jump-ins and big body-specific combos. On top of all this, he has one of the slowest walk speeds in the game. I mean, look at this. He's going at a snail's pace. And unlike Makoto, his dashes are below average as well. From the sounds of this, he seems like a big punching bag. But that's something he doesn't have to worry too much about due to his extraordinary defensive and offensive powers. To understand his strengths, let's take a dive into his prevalent normals. Crouching Light Punch, a 3-frame mid. Unlike Street Fighter 6, older games had differences in the fastest normals that a character can have. For example, Abel's fastest strike is his 4-frame close light punch, so these characters have a natural disadvantage at close ranges, especially against characters that have 3-frame normals. And for some reason, this slow and massive zoner has a 3-frame attack to defend himself. Standing Far Light Kick, 6-frame mid that has massive range. Look how far this thing goes. That is insane for a light attack. You know what makes this even more obnoxious? It's cancelable, so you can combo into specials based on spacing. Great whiff punish tool. Standing Far Medium Kick, a 9-frame mid that goes quite far. Looks pretty standard though, doesn't it? Sure, but the thing is you have to account for the height it's being done at, because it's low enough to hit crouching opponents, but high enough for it to completely go over low pokes. So if the opponent is throwing out short-range lows, this will completely obliterate it. Or Dictator, that crouching medium kick is going to suffer. Oh, I forgot to add, the strike does 100 damage, which is 10% of the total health of an average character. This is a lot higher than most medium kicks. For example, Fuse and Dictator standing medium kicks do 70 damage. What a huge difference. Standing Far Heavy Kick. Hear me out. 5-frame heavy attack. Not 15, 5. It is a 2-hit attack and the second hit comes out a bit later, so it's not exactly 5 frames at long ranges, but the first hit still goes very far, like unnaturally far. The kicker is that if both hits connect, it does a whopping 150 damage. Imagine losing a round after getting hit by 7 of these. But you know what? The second hit whiffs on crouching opponents, so it's fine. I'm kidding. If you get hit by the first hit, it forces stand, guaranteeing the second. Alright, it has to be punishable on block, right? Well, if you block both hits, absolutely not. It's completely safe. What if you crouch block the first hit so the second one whiffs? In most cases, no. The pushback is too great on block, so most retaliatory attacks will not reach. The only reliable way to counter it is to crouch at a specific range, then whiff punish it. Very difficult to do when you also have to deal with standing medium kick. And that's the crazy part. Individually, these attacks are very strong, but if you put them all together, it becomes an iron wall of hitboxes. I have seen tournament footage of Sagat players just winning mostly off of pressing far light, medium, and heavy kick. There was a very strong player by the name of RF who did this at national tournaments, and it was so effective that it was later named the RF dance. Crouching medium kick. Nothing too extraordinary in the context of this game, but just wanted to mention he has a long range low that is cancelable. Alright, let's move on to specials. This might feel a bit out of order, but I'm going to talk about his Ultra Combo. Ultra Combo is usually the most damaging attack in a character's arsenal. It has its own bar and fills up when a character gets hit or absorbs a hit. Once the gauge is half filled, a player can execute the Ultra. Think of this like Street Fighter 6's Super R3, but you have access to it at least once per round. Huge damage potential. The only challenge here is that unlike Super R3, the meter resets every round and it cannot be cancelled from a normal or special. It has to be a link. With that said, let's take a look at how much Sagat's Ultra does when it's maxed out. $583, almost 60% of a character's health bar. Let's compare this to Ryu's Ultra. $398, about 30% less, but it's a projectile so it shouldn't be the same. How about Chun-Li's? This one is a lunging attack that's similar to Sagat's. 510. Not a humongous difference, but still very significant. In this version of the game, Sagat had one of the highest damaging Ultras in the roster. The only ones that did more were things like Zangief's Command Grab Ultra and Gouki's Raging Demon. Both of these were extremely difficult to combo into. With Sagat's Ultra, no problem. He had a myriad of ways to get that hidden. But in order to understand how easy it was, I need to explain his other specials. Tiger Shot. Executed by quarter circle forward, then punch or kick. This is fairly standard looking projectile if not for one unique aspect. Quarter circle kick does a low tiger shot that travels horizontally at knee height. This hits crouching opponents, but is easy to jump over. Quarter circle punch does a high tiger shot that travels horizontally as well, but around head height. This one can be crouched, but significantly harder to jump. So one of the standard strategies at full screen is to throw low tiger shot to coax the opponent to jump, and then anti-air with high tiger shot. So not only does the opponent have to react to a projectile when dealing with Sagat, but they have to confirm which one it is in certain situations. Very difficult when the speeds of these shots can be significantly altered by attack strength. This is light. This is medium. This is heavy. And this is EX. EX requires meters, so think of it as the equivalent to OD specials in Street Fighter 6. Look at the difference between light and EX. Jumping over these are extremely difficult if Sagat mixes both height and speed. To add to this difficulty, Sagat also has an anti-air special called Tiger Uppercut. So if you jump when he's ready, you're most likely going down. Now in high level play, players usually neutral jump when dealing with projectiles and anti-air baits. This is because blocking projectiles chips health, and there are no parries like Street Fighter 6. Neutral jump avoid these while creating variance in their approach. However, in Sagat's case, he has drastically different speeds in his projectiles whilst also having different heights. If he is played well, it is very likely that an opponent will land on a projectile while neutral jumping. Very annoying. But it's just a projectile, right? Small damage and a knockdown, but it's not like Sagat is going to be your face for Okizeme, right? Well, it's really going to depend on how you get hit. Let's say you jump to avoid a fast projectile, but end up reading wrong and jump onto a slow high tiger shot. Sagat can then do a low tiger shot to combo while you're falling. Now you're getting hit by two projectiles. EX low tiger shot follow-up, even more damage. By the way, did you notice that EX tiger shot knocks the opponent higher than regular tiger shot? Well, if you're in the corner, it can link into Ultra. This is the damage you receive by getting hit by a projectile that is incredibly hard to avoid. Crazy. Alright then, maybe you should just gamble and jump forward when you're near the corner. Risking to get hit by a single tiger uppercut is better than eating an Ultra combo, right? Not the worst idea, but if Sagat has two bars, it can do a thing called Focus Attack Dash Cancel, FADC for short. In Street Fighter 4, if you spend half your super meter, you can cancel certain normals and specials into a universal mechanic called Focus Attack. This is a chargeable attack that has various properties depending on how long you hold it. But anyways, the attack itself is not important in the situation. The vital property is that you can cancel the startup of the Focus Attack with a dash. So what Sagat can do is cancel the recovery of Tiger Uppercut with the Focus Attack, then cancel that startup into a dash, essentially creating a launcher that you can combo into other attacks. You know what this means? Anti-air into ultra combo. The egregious part of this is that you can squeeze in Sagat's command normal, high step kick, after the Tiger Uppercut for extra damage. Majority of the roster cannot do this when canceling from a Shoryuken type special. Why does a character with high damage get an extra heavy button hit? Who knows? But you know what? Tiger Uppercut has fairly short horizontal range. At far ranges, maybe the opponent can do an empty forward jump to get closer. They certainly can try, but the aforementioned high step kick has great horizontal range. It doesn't have the speed or invisibility like the Tiger Uppercut, but it can certainly catch faraway opponents while comboing into itself before going into an ultra. There goes 60% of your health. Well, high step kick doesn't have invincibility, so it can lose to certain jump attacks at certain timings, right? Maybe. But if Sagat wants to take the sure way out, he has another option. Car canceling the high step kick. For people who don't know, car canceling is the technique of canceling the startup of a move with another one. In this case, we'll be canceling the high step kick into Tiger Uppercut. By doing this, Sagat will lunge forward first before doing his anti-air special, giving him extra horizontal range. As a side note, he also has a lunging command normal that hits low, called low step kick, and this one can be car cancelled as well. You can do different horizontal spacing based on which step kick you use. Now these step kicks can also be used for other specials like the last one I'm going to introduce, Tiger Knee, a lunging attack that knocks opponents down on hit. Don't worry, the normal versions are all punishable on standing block. It's not as bad as his other moves. But what if the opponent is crouching? Depending on spacing, so advantageous on block that the following crouching light punch can be a true block string. Look, I'm mashing really hard as D right now, but nothing is coming out. Then stand block. You certainly can, but you have to remember that he also has a cancelable crouching medium kick. So if you mistime your block switch, ouch. Also, I mentioned that his normal version can be punishable, but his EX version is only -1. So if the Sagat player is really desperate, he can car cancel a step kick to EX Tiger Knee to do a full screen lunging attack. If the opponent blocks, he can then do a nasty gamble with Tiger Uppercut. Oh, I forgot to mention, certain specials in this game do not require meter versions for invisibility, unlike Street Fighter 3, 5, or 6, so they can save that meter for FADCs. When the Sagat player has 3 bars, he can EX Tiger Knee, get in, and do an invincible attack to FADC. If the Tiger Uppercut hits, he can do a massive combo that does 60%, and if it doesn't, he can stay safe as it is not punishable. The risk reward certainly does not match the damage output of this character. Now that I mentioned his normal uppercuts are invincible, you can probably imagine that it's incredibly scary to go for Okizeme on a low health Sagat with meter. Let's say you're one mix-up away from finishing Sagat. You get that knockdown and you excitedly go for a meaty overhead. Tiger Uppercut to death. This happened so much in the initial versions of the game that the Japanese folks called it the Warosu combo. Warosu is a NES slang from the early 2000s where it was used when people found something funny, similar to the English LOL. If you haven't guessed already, this was used in a very sarcastic tone, as the person getting hit by the combo can only laugh due to the absurdity of the situation. To sum it all up, Sagat in the initial version of the game was an extremely high damage zoner who also excelled at close and mid-range combat while having excellent defense. There's definitely lots more to talk about this character, like the fact that he had 10% more health compared to most of the cast. But if I go through all of that, I might start building up a feline allergy. I'll leave it up to the veterans to add more highness properties in the comments. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you liked it, make sure to check out the other characters and subscribe for future episodes. And if you have love to spare, please support me on Patreon. Alright, until next time, have fun with fighting games.